Inside silicon, the technology behind everything. Powered by Semionics.
You remember when the world ran out of toilet paper, right? Factories just made more. When oil prices spiked, producers pumped more. So when everything from our cars to our coffee makers got delayed by a global chip shortage, why couldn't we just make more chips? It sounds like such a simple question, but the answer? Well, it pulls back the curtain on one of the most complex manufacturing puzzles in human history. Let's dig in.
This is the question that echoed through boardrooms and assembly lines all over the world. Seriously, why did massive car factories just grind to a halt? Why did the price of a new graphics card suddenly go through the roof? The answer isn't as simple as high demand. It's a story about physics, economics, and just staggering complexity. And by the end of this, you'll see why a tiny sliver of silicon is maybe the hardest thing we've ever learned to mass produce.
Okay, so most of us, when we picture a factory, we think of something like this on the left. If you need more stuff, you just turn a dial, right? Add another shift, speed up the line, and bam, more product comes out the other end. But a semiconductor fab, that's a completely different beast. There is no dial to turn. In fact, trying to think about it that way is the first big mistake everyone makes.
And here's the first huge, kind of mind-blowing reason why. Semiconductor fabs run at nearly 100% utilization, all the time. Unlike pretty much any other industry, there's no idle capacity just sitting around. I mean, these are the most expensive factories on Earth, and every single billion-dollar machine inside is scheduled to run 24/7, 365, just to make the insane economics of it all work out.
Think of it like a massive, unbelievably intricate pipeline that's already completely full. Every single wafer, that's the silicon disk chips are built on, has its journey through the fab scheduled months, sometimes even a year in advance. So when a car company suddenly realizes it needs millions more chips, there is literally no empty space in the line to squeeze them into. The production slots are already booked solid.
So you're thinking, okay, fine, if the pipeline's full, just build a new one. Easy, right? Well, this timeline shows you why that's not exactly a quick fix. You're looking at up to a year and a half just for design and getting the permits. Then another 2 years to actually build a facility that has to be cleaner than a hospital operating room. And after all that, you spend a full year just installing and calibrating the tools. All in, you're looking at 3 to 5 years before a single new usable chip comes off that line. The whole market could have changed by then.
But here's the kicker. Let's just say you magically had a brand new, multi-billion-dollar fab sitting there, ready to go. You still couldn't produce the most advanced chips. You'd run smack into the single biggest bottleneck in all of modern technology. And this isn't a supply chain problem. This is a problem of fundamental physics.
And that bottleneck has a name, EUV, or Extreme Ultraviolet Lithography. Now that sounds complicated, but here's all you need to know. This is the technology, the only technology, that uses this incredibly high-energy light to etch the microscopic on-off switches, the transistors, onto silicon. If you want to make today's bleeding-edge chips, the ones in your phone or in an AI data center, you absolutely have to have EUV. There's no way around it.
And this is where it gets absolutely wild. There is only one company on the entire planet that makes these essential EUV machines. Just one. A Dutch company called ASML. It's not just a market leader. It is a complete 100% monopoly on the single most important tool in manufacturing. If you want to make advanced chips, you have to get in line and buy from them. Period. And how much for one of these miracle machines? Over $150 million. Each one has more than 100,000 parts, takes months to assemble, and needs multiple jumbo jets just to ship it to the customer. So no matter how much money a company wants to spend, they can't build new fabs any faster than ASML can build these machines.
Now, we've been talking about all this cutting-edge, super advanced stuff. But here's the real twist in the story. The part that most news reports completely missed during the big shortage. The most painful shortages, the ones that shut down those car factories, weren't for the newest, fanciest chips. They were for old, boring, and what you'd think are simple ones. It's what the industry calls the paradox of mature nodes. See, the chips that control the windows in your car or manage its battery, they're made on older, less advanced tech. They're what we call low-profit margin chips. So chip makers, logically, put all their new multi-billion-dollar investments into high-margin stuff like AI and smartphone chips. So when car demand suddenly came roaring back, there was just no spare capacity left on those old production lines, and there was zero economic incentive to build more.
This table just lays out the economic trap perfectly. I mean, look at the cutting-edge chips. High margin, high investment priority. It's a no-brainer. That's where the money is. But then look at the mature node chips. Low margin, low priority. The incredible irony, as you can see in that last row, is that the impact of a shortage of these boring chips is devastatingly high because a single car needs hundreds of them.
And it all comes down to this single powerful idea. A single $1 power management chip becomes the one thing that stops a $50,000 car from being built and sold. This sentence just perfectly captures the bizarre economics of the semiconductor world, where the least glamorous parts can cause the most chaos. So, let's pull it all together. Why can't we just make more chips? As we've seen, it boils down to 4 interconnected walls you just can't get around. The time wall, 3 to 5 years just to build a new fab. The capital wall, a single essential machine costs over $150 million. The physics wall, the one technology you need, EUV, is a total monopoly. And finally, the economics wall. There's just no good reason to build new factories for the older, low-margin chips our world is still built on.
So you see, these shortages aren't really an accident or some temporary blip. They are part of a structural, cyclical pattern that is baked right into the industry. A shortage leads to massive overinvestment. That eventually creates an oversupply, which crashes prices. That crash then forces companies to underinvest for a while, which, you guessed it, sets the stage for the next inevitable shortage. It's a global boom and bust cycle.
So, the next time you hear about a chip shortage, you'll know it's not just some simple production problem. It's a deep-seated challenge of physics, economics, and time. And as artificial intelligence becomes the defining technology of our era, the ability to overcome these constraints, to control the supply of silicon, might just become the ultimate source of global power. The real question is, who's going to control it?
Inside Silicon, the technology behind everything. Powered by Semionics.